Michael took a deep breath as the shuttle descended through the swirling mists of Zaloria. Beside him, his colleague and fellow anthropologist, Jonas, was furiously typing notes on a digital pad. The shuttle's cockpit buzzed with quiet anticipation, the pilot navigating deftly between towering alien spires that pierced the fog like ancient sentinels. "Can you believe we're actually here?" Jonas asked, his eyes not leaving the pad. Michael peered out of the window, his gaze lost in the verdant landscape unfolding below them. "It's different every time," he replied, his voice tinged with awe. "No matter how many new worlds I see." As the shuttle landed with a gentle thud, the door hissed open, revealing a panorama of lush green terrain dotted with vibrant, bioluminescent plants. Stepping out, Michael felt the alien soil under his boots, soft and slightly spongy. The air was thick with floral scents that were entirely foreign. A small group of Zalorians approached them. Their skin shimmered subtly, reflecting the planet's abundant natural light. Their leader, a tall figure with luminous eyes, extended a hand. "Welcome to Zaloria," he said, his voice a melodic hum that resonated slightly in the air. "Thank you," Michael replied, taking the offered hand. The touch was warm, the grip firm yet gentle. "I'm Michael, and this is Jonas. We are honored to meet you," the Zalorian leader replied. "I am Silas. Please, follow me to the gathering site." The council is eager to commence the welcome ceremony. As they walk through a winding path bordered by towering ferns and strange, twisted trees, Jonas leaned closer to Michael. "Do you get the feeling that everything here is watching us?" "Because it probably is," Michael chuckled softly. "Our arrival doesn't just bring novelty, it brings change." Reaching a clearing, they were greeted by a spectacle. A group of Zalorians moved rhythmically, their dance seemingly in tune with the natural sound around them. Another group played instruments that looked like nothing Michael had ever seen, producing harmonies that felt both alien and strangely comforting. Silas gestured towards a large, semicircular structure made of a translucent material. "We shall discuss our cultures here. This place, the Hall of Echoes, is where we learn from others." Inside, the hall was cooler, the air tinged with a mint-like freshness. The group was directed towards the center, where soft cushions lay on the ground. As they took their seats, a young Zalorian, perhaps in her 20s and human years, came forward. "My name is Alara," she said, her voice a soft whisper yet clear in the quiet of the hall. "I will be your liaison during your stay. We hope to learn much from each other." Michael nodded. "We come with the same hopes, Alara. Our mission is to understand, not to intrude." Alara smiled, a gesture that seemed to light up the room. "You speak like a Zalorian, Michael. Come, let us begin." With that, Michael, Jonas, Silas, and Alara sat in a circle. The discussion started with simple topics like climate and wildlife, but soon delved deeper into philosophy and sociology. Michael and Jonas shared insights into human society, while Silas and Alara explained the Zalorian way of life, marked by deep empathy and an intrinsic connection to their environment. As the talks continued, Michael found himself looking at Alara more often. She was not just translating Zalorian concepts, she was embodying them, her every gesture a testament to her people's culture. The chapter closes as the sun sets on Zaloria, casting long shadows across the Hall of Echoes. Michael felt a profound sense of peace, a stark contrast to the typical rush of first landings. Here, on this alien world, dialogue was the path to understanding, and every word shared was a step closer to something new and wonderful. Chapter 2: First Contact. Michael and Jonas joined Alara and Silas the next morning for an expedition into the heart of Zaloria. They were to visit the Great Library, a repository of knowledge not just for the Zalorians but seemingly, as Alara explained, for the universe itself. The air was crisp, the sky a deep, unblemished shade of cerulean. As they trekked through a dense forest, Michael couldn't help but marvel at the sheer variety of flora around them. Plants with leaves that shimmered with metallic hues, and others that swayed without any breeze. "Each plant here plays a part in our ecosystem," Alara explained, noticing his interest. "Much like each individual in our society. We are all connected, contributing to the balance of life." Jonas, who had been collecting samples, looked up. "And your technology? It seems so integrated with nature." Silas, walking alongside him, nodded. "It is. To us, technology and nature are not distinct but extensions of each other. Our tech is grown, not built. It evolves with us." As they approached the Great Library, A structure emerged that looked like it had been carved out of a mountain. Its walls glowed softly with internal light, casting gentle shadows on the path ahead. Inside, the library was vast, with ceilings high above and rows upon rows of crystalline databanks that spiraled up into the dimness. Michael was astonished. "How do you manage all this information?" "We share the responsibility," Silas replied, leading them to a data terminal. "Here, let me show you." He placed his hand on the crystalline surface, and it lit up, displaying streams of data and flowing scripts that Michael couldn't understand. Alara stepped forward and translated the visual data into audible speech, filling the room with melodic tones. "What are they saying?" Michael asked, completely absorbed. "They speak of history," Alara said. "The rise and fall of civilizations not just on Zaloria, but across galaxies. Each crystal here holds stories of 1,000 worlds." Jonas whistled softly. "That's incredible. It's like you have a living history of the cosmos." "It is our duty to preserve this knowledge," Silas added, "and share it with those who seek it." As they moved through the library, Michael noticed other Zalorians interacting with the data crystals. Some were young, likely apprentices, their expressions focused and reverent. "You train them young?" he asked. Alara nodded. "Learning is a lifelong pursuit for us. From a young age, we are taught to value knowledge, not just our own but that of other cultures." The discussion veered towards human practices, and Michael shared stories of Earth's libraries and universities. "Our methods are more mechanical, I suppose. Books, digital files, but nothing as interactive as this. Perhaps one day, you could integrate some of our methods into your systems," Silas suggested, a thoughtful look crossing his features. "I like that," Michael said, genuinely excited about the prospect. "There's so much we could learn from each other." As the tour continued, Alara guided them through different sections, each dedicated to an aspect of universal knowledge, from arts and culture to science and philosophy. Michael was particularly drawn to a section that displayed visual arts from various planets, each piece pulsating with its creator's emotions. "This is remarkable," Michael murmured, standing before a painting that seemed to move with an inner light. "It's like you can feel what the artist felt." Alara smiled, her eyes reflecting the artwork's light. "That is the purpose of art, isn't it? To feel, to connect." As they exited the library, the sun was beginning to dip below the horizon, casting long, warm shadows across the land. The day had been full of discoveries, and Michael felt a profound sense of connection not just to this new world, but to his hosts. "Thank you for this," he said as they made their way back to the settlement. "Today has been enlightening." Alara's smile was warm in the fading light. "The pleasure was ours, Michael. Understanding is the first step towards unity." Jonas, who had been quiet, finally spoke up. "I never thought I'd see something like this. It's going to change everything about how we approach our work." "Yes," Michael agreed, his thoughts already racing ahead to the possibilities. "It's going to change everything indeed." Chapter 3, Language of Touch. The following morning, Michael joined a group of Zalorian scholars led by Silas for a session focused on their unique method of communication, telepathy enhanced by physical contact. Michael was eager to understand this, hoping it might improve human interactions with other species. As they gathered in a circular chamber lined with soft, luminescent panels, Silas began, "Today, we'll explore how we share thoughts and feelings directly through touch." Michael looked around. The other members of the group were a mix of Zalorians and a few humans from his team, including Jonas and another anthropologist, Mark. They all seemed curious but slightly apprehensive about the intimate nature of the lesson. Alara paired up with Michael, offering a reassuring smile. "It's okay to be nervous," she said gently. "Just relax and let your mind be open." Michael nodded, watching as Alara extended her hand, palm up. Hesitantly, he placed his hand in hers. The contact was warm, and a tingling sensation spread up his arm. "Now close your eyes," Alara instructed. "Focus on my presence, not just physically. Try to perceive my emotions." Michael did as she asked, and after a moment, images and sensations flooded his senses. He saw a Zalorian sunset, felt a deep sense of peace, and even tasted something sweet, like the nectar of a local flower. "Good," Alara whispered. "You're receiving well. Now try to send something back to me." Concentrating, Michael thought of his first day on Earth's beaches, the salty air, the sound of waves. He focused on those feelings of tranquility and freedom. Alara's grip tightened slightly, her breath catching. "I see it," she murmured. The ocean. It's beautiful. Opening his eyes, Michael saw Alara looking at him with a new kind of understanding. It's incredible, he said. Is it always so vivid? For us, yes, Silas interjected, having observed their exchange. It's how we build trust and ensure transparency in our interactions. Jonas, paired with another Zalorian, laughed aloud, drawing the group's attention. It's like he's tickling my brain, he exclaimed, both bewildered and amused. Mark, more reserved, seemed deeply moved by the experience. It's more intimate than I expected, he noted, looking thoughtful. Communicating this way cuts through misunderstandings. As humans, you rely heavily on spoken and written language, Silas said, addressing the group. But words can be misinterpreted. With this method, you share the essence of your thoughts. Michael considered this. It's not just about sharing information, he realized. It's about sharing experiences and emotions. It's a different level of connection. Yes, Alara agreed. And in that connection, you find true understanding. The session continued with exercises designed to enhance their telepathic skills. Michael found himself growing more adept at both receiving and sending, his earlier nervousness replaced by a profound curiosity. As the workshop concluded, the group shared their experiences. Many were surprised by the depth of connection they felt, even those who were initially skeptical. Walking back to their quarters with Jonas and Mark, Michael discussed the potential applications of such communication. Imagine the misunderstandings we could avoid, he mused. Yeah, Jonas agreed. Or the kind of diplomacy we could foster. It's a game changer. Mark nodded, his mind already on the scientific implications. We need to study this further. There's so much potential here, not just for anthropology, but for all human interactions. That's the plan, Michael said, feeling energized. We'll start by documenting everything we learned today. Then we'll see where this new knowledge can take us. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the alien landscape, Michael felt a deep sense of purpose. Zaloria was no longer just a research assignment. It was a window into new possibilities for all of humanity. Chapter 4. Deepening Connections. After a few weeks on Zaloria, Michael and his team, including Jonas and Mark, were invited to join a Zalorian cultural festival. It was an opportunity to witness and participate in traditions that were millennia old, providing deeper insights into the emotional and communal life of the Zalorians. As they approached the festival grounds, the air was filled with the rich aroma of exotic spices and the sound of melodious tunes played on stringed instruments Michael had never seen before. Silas greeted them warmly, adorned in vibrant ceremonial attire. Tonight, we celebrate the Galari, the bonding of the community through shared experiences, Silas explained, leading them into the heart of the festivities. You are our honored guests. Jonas, ever the enthusiast, was the first to dive into the spirit of the event. What's the first activity? He asked eagerly. We begin with the sharing of stories, Silas said, gesturing towards a large circle formed by Zalorians and a few other interspecies visitors. It's a time to share tales of personal significance, which helps to weave our individual lives into the communal tapestry. Michael joined the circle, sitting beside Alara, who seemed pleased by his genuine interest. One by one, Zalorians stood up to share their stories, speaking of journeys, dreams, and loved ones. When it was Michael's turn, he shared a story of his first expedition, a tale of discovery and friendship that resonated with the themes of exploration common in Zalorian narratives. As the stories concluded, the mood shifted towards more festive activities. Mark, usually more reserved, was coaxed into trying a traditional dance. With Alara's encouragement, Michael joined in, finding the movement strange yet strangely invigorating. You're a natural, Alara teased as Michael stumbled slightly, trying to keep pace with the complex steps. I think I'll stick to anthropology, Michael laughed, breathless but exhilarated. As the dance ended, Silas introduced them to the Feast of Harmony, a communal meal where everyone shared dishes they had prepared. The table was a colorful array of foods, each with its own story. Try this, Silas offered, handing Michael a dish made from local grains and fruits. It's a traditional meal, made to signify the blending of flavors, much like our festival tonight blends different cultures. Michael tasted the dish, surprised by the burst of flavors. It's delicious, he admitted. I can see the symbolism in it. The blending is perfect. The night continued with more music and laughter. Michael found himself deep in conversation with Alara about Zalorian philosophy, particularly their concepts of community and individuality. It's about balance, Alara explained. The individual is cherished, but never at the expense of the community. We grow together. That's a beautiful way to live, Michael reflected. Back on Earth, we often struggle with that balance. Too much focus on the individual sometimes, not enough on the community. As the festival wound down, Michael felt a profound connection not only to Alara but to the entire Zalorian community. Their willingness to open up their culture and their hearts was moving. Walking back under the starlit sky, Jonas summed up the night. This was more than just fun. It felt like we were part of something bigger. Exactly, Michael agreed. It's these experiences that really help us understand each other, not just as scientists, but as fellow beings in the universe. Alara smiled, her eyes reflecting the starlight. And perhaps that is the greatest discovery of all. As they said their goodnights, Michael felt a contentment he hadn't known he was missing. Here, among the stars and the spires of Zaloria, he was finding more than just alien cultures. He was finding new ways to see the universe and himself. Chapter 5. In the arms of an alien, a human finds home. After weeks of deep cultural immersion, Michael found himself increasingly attached not just to Zaloria but to Alara as well. They had spent countless hours together, both in official capacities and in personal exploration. Tonight, however, was different. Alara had invited him to a secluded spot known only to her, a place she described as her personal sanctuary. As they walked through the bioluminescent forest, the night alive with the soft glow of alien flora, Michael felt a mix of anticipation and nervousness. "This place you're taking me to," he started, his voice low in the quiet of the forest. "Why is it special to you?" Alara smiled, her eyes reflecting the light of the glowing plants. "It's a place of deep personal meaning, a spot where I feel most connected to Zaloria. I want to share that with you." They reached a clearing where trees parted to reveal a wide expanse of water, shimmering under the twin moons. The sight took Michael's breath away. "It's beautiful," he murmured, stepping closer to the water's edge. "It's here that I come to think, to dream," Alara explained, joining him by the water. "And tonight, I wish to share my dreams with you." Michael turned to her, his heart beating faster. "And what are those dreams?" Alara reached out, touching his face gently. "To bridge our worlds, Michael. To show that love knows no boundaries, not of race, not of planet." Her touch sent a shiver through him, and impulsively he leaned in, his lips meeting hers. The kiss was gentle at first but grew in intensity as they drew closer, their bodies pressed together. When they finally parted, breathless, Michael whispered, "I've never felt this way before, Alara. Not with anyone." "Nor have I," Alara confessed. "You've opened my heart in ways I didn't know possible." They spent the night there by the lake, talking, kissing, exploring each other's thoughts and emotions more deeply than ever before. Their physical intimacy was a reflection of their emotional bond, gentle and exploratory, each touch and kiss deepening the connection they felt. As dawn approached, Michael lay in Alara's arms, watching the sky lighten. "In the arms of an alien, a human finds home," he said softly, the phrase reflecting his feelings perfectly. Alara tightened her embrace. "And in the heart of a human, an alien finds hope." They watched the sunrise together, the new light casting golden hues across the landscape. It was a moment of perfect peace and understanding. The next day, Michael shared his experiences with Jonas and Mark. "It's more than just an assignment now," he told them. "I feel like I found something special here, something I didn't even know I was looking for." Jonas nodded, a knowing smile on his face. "It's amazing, isn't it? How a place can change you." "And the people," Mark added. "Alara seems remarkable." "She is," Michael agreed. "And I think this could be the beginning of something truly extraordinary." As they continued their work on Zaloria, Michael's thoughts often returned to that night by the lake. It had changed him, not just as a scientist, but as a man. He had come seeking knowledge, but found much more, a connection that transcended the stars. And as he worked alongside Alara, collaborating on projects that would hopefully one day bridge their two worlds, he knew that no matter what the future held, he had found a home here on Zaloria in Alara's arms. Chapter 6. Cultural Ripples. The relationship between Michael and Alara had become an open secret among both the human expedition and the Zalorians. While many celebrated this union as a symbol of successful intercultural exchange, there were skeptics on both sides who viewed it with concern. One crisp morning, as the team gathered for breakfast in the communal eating area, The topic came up more pointedly than before. "So you and Alara seem close," Jonas remarked, passing a bowl of local fruit to Michael. His tone was casual, but his eyes were searching. Michael nodded, accepting the bowl. "Yes, we've learned a lot from each other. It's been enlightening." Mark, sitting across from them, forked some food onto his plate before looking up. "It's not just about personal relationships, though. Do you think this will impact our mission? Our primary goal is research, after all." Michael understood the underlying concern. "I believe it enhances our mission. Understanding a culture intimately only deepens our research. And what better way to understand a culture than through a bond like this?" Jonas seemed satisfied with the answer, but the conversation had attracted the attention of a few other colleagues, including Dr. Helen Baxter, the mission's cultural liaison. "It's a delicate balance," she interjected. "Personal relationships can sometimes cloud our objective judgments. It's important to remain vigilant about our roles here." Before Michael could respond, Silas joined the table, his presence commanding and serene. "I have heard some concerns," he began, addressing the group at large. "But I assure you the Council sees this as a positive development. Michael and Alara's relationship is a bridge between our worlds." The rest of the breakfast passed with discussions about the day's schedule, but the morning's conversation had made Michael thoughtful. He decided to seek out the expedition leader, Dr. Alan Rickards, to discuss these sentiments directly. Finding Alan in his office, surrounded by digital screens displaying data, Michael knocked and entered. "Michael, come in," Alan greeted him, gesturing to a seat. "What's on your mind?" "It's about me and Alara," Michael started, straightforward. "There are some concerns about how our relationship might affect the mission. I wanted to get your perspective." Alan leaned back in his chair, considering. "I won't lie, it does complicate things. Relationships always do. But I also see the value in it. Your relationship has opened doors for us that might have remained closed. You're living the very cultural exchange we're here to study." "That's how I see it too," Michael said, relieved. However, Alan continued, "Keep in mind that not everyone will view it through that lens. Just be careful, Michael. We don't want to jeopardize our work or your standing with either community." Michael nodded. "Understood. I'll make sure to keep the boundaries clear." Later that day, Michael met Alara for a walk through one of Zaloria's expansive gardens. He shared the morning's conversations with her, wanting her to understand the complexities from his side. Alara listened quietly, her face calm. "It is similar in my community," she revealed. "There are those who fear what they do not understand. But many more are curious and hopeful. We must focus on them, on the future we can build. As long as we're together in this, I think we can handle any challenges," Michael said, taking her hand. They spent the rest of the day discussing potential collaborative projects that could involve both humans and Zalorians, aiming to further integrate their societies and showcase the benefits of their union. By the time they returned to the settlement, Michael felt a renewed sense of purpose. Their relationship was not just personal, it was a pivotal part of their mission. Together, they could demonstrate the profound impacts of true cultural exchange. As the sun set on Zaloria, casting a golden glow over the gardens, Michael looked at Alara, her face lit by the last light of day. In her eyes, he saw not only the reflection of his own hopes, but also the promise of a shared future. They were pioneers, in more ways than one, and together they would navigate the complexities of their interstellar relationship. Chapter 7: The Integration. Michael and Alara's relationship had indeed begun to influence their respective communities more profoundly than they had initially anticipated. In light of their unique bond, both human and Zalorian leaders saw an opportunity to initiate a more structured integration program. Michael proposed a series of joint ventures and workshops that would allow both peoples to learn from each other's sciences, arts, and philosophies. One cool morning, Michael, accompanied by Jonas and Mark, met with Silas and two other Zalorian scholars to outline the first of these programs, a symposium on technology and environmental stewardship. "We've seen how your technology integrates with nature rather than imposing on it," Mark began, setting up a holographic display of both human and Zalorian tech comparisons. "We believe there's a lot we can learn from your approach to help us tackle some of the environmental challenges we face on Earth." Silas nodded, his eyes reflecting a thoughtful glint. "And we are intrigued by your advances in renewable energy and space travel technologies. It seems there is much we can offer each other." The discussions were technical, yet filled with a sense of mutual respect and eagerness to learn. They decided to hold a week-long conference, inviting experts from both worlds to share knowledge and develop collaborative projects. In preparation, Michael and Alara worked closely to develop the curriculum and invite list. During one of their planning sessions, Alara looked at Michael, her expression serious. "Do you think they're ready for this, Michael? To really see each other as partners?" Michael considered her question, knowing the weight it carried. "I think they're more ready than we might assume. Both our people crave knowledge and progress. We just need to show them that it's possible together." As the conference day approached, excitement and nervousness were palpable in the air. The event opened with speeches from human and Zalorian leaders, each expressing their hopes for fruitful collaborations. Jonas, who had been somewhat skeptical at first, was now fully on board, helping to facilitate discussions and workshops. I never thought I'd be translating human jokes into Zalorian," he quipped during a lighter moment. "But here we are." The symposium was a success, with several promising projects identified for joint development. Topics ranged from advanced agriculture techniques to quantum computing applications, and even arts exchanges where Zalorian visual arts and human music were blended to create new forms of expression. In the evenings, informal gatherings allowed both Zalorians and humans to mingle socially, sharing stories, food, and laughter. Michael noticed how natural the interactions had become, a stark contrast to the formal and somewhat cautious exchanges of their early days on Zaloria. On the final night of the conference, Michael and Alara stood together, watching the sunset. "We've started something big, haven't we?" Michael said, his voice a mix of awe and satisfaction. "Yes, we have," Alara replied, squeezing his hand. "It's just the beginning, though. There's much work to do. And we'll do it together," Michael added. As partners, they turned to join the farewell dinner, where a celebration of their achievements awaited. Laughter and music filled the air, and as Michael looked around at the happy, engaged faces of humans and Zalorians alike, he felt a deep sense of fulfillment. This integration, born from a shared desire to bridge worlds and cultures, was his new mission, and with Alara by his side, he was confident in their success. As the evening wore on, the bonds formed during the conference seemed to solidify, promising a future where humanity and Zaloria could thrive together, learning and growing as one. Chapter 8: A New Dawn. As the conference concluded, the seeds of collaboration planted during the week began to sprout. Both Zalorian and human participants departed with plans for joint ventures and ongoing exchanges, marking the dawn of a new era in interstellar relations. Michael and Alara, now seen as pioneers of this intercultural bridge, were busy planning their next steps. One morning, as they walked through the gardens of the Zalorian Council, they discussed the feedback from the symposium participants. "The enthusiasm is incredible," Michael noted, checking the data on his tablet. "Both sides are eager for the next phase. I think we really have a chance to make a lasting impact here." Alara, walking beside him, nodded. "Yes, the proposals for shared research labs and cultural exchange programs are particularly promising. We need to ensure we maintain this momentum." They met with Silas and Dr. Alan Rickards to outline the future initiatives. The meeting took place in the council's chamber, a serene space designed to foster open dialogue. "As we move forward," Silas began, "it is crucial that we continue to promote transparency and mutual respect. The success of this integration depends not only on our scientific and cultural exchanges, but on our continued commitment to understanding each other." Dr. Rickards agreed, adding, "We'll need to establish a formal committee to oversee these projects. It should include members from both our worlds to ensure balanced perspectives." Michael volunteered. "Alara and I would be honored to co-chair this committee. We've already been working closely, and I believe we can help steer these efforts effectively." "An excellent idea," Silas approved. "Your partnership has already brought us this far. It's fitting that you help lead the next stage." The rest of the meeting involved logistical planning, setting timelines, and discussing the resources required for the upcoming projects. Michael and Alara were tasked with drafting the initial charter for the committee and outlining the strategic goals for the next year. After the meeting, as they prepared for a public announcement, Michael turned to Alara, a slight nervousness in his demeanor. "Do you think we're ready for this? It's a lot of responsibility." Alara smiled reassuringly. "I believe in us, Michael. We've seen how much can be achieved when we work together. This is just the beginning, and we're the right people to lead it." Standing together at the podium, with representatives from both planets in attendance, they announced the formation of the Joint Cultural and Scientific Committee. The crowd responded with enthusiastic applause, a clear sign of the widespread support for their efforts. Jonas, who had taken a seat in the front row, cheered loudly, a grin on his face. After the announcement, he came up to them, clapping Michael on the back. "You two are making history," he said. "Just don't forget us little people when you're famous." Michael laughed, the tension easing from his shoulders. "Couldn't do it without you, Jonas. We'll need every brilliant mind we can get." As the event wound down, Michael and Alara took a moment to themselves, walking back through the council gardens. The Zalorian suns were setting, casting a warm glow over the landscape. "This feels like a new dawn," Michael mused, his arm around Alara. "Not just for us, but for all of humanity and Zaloria." Alara leaned into him, her presence comforting and familiar. "A new dawn indeed," she agreed. "And together, we'll build a future where both our worlds can flourish." As they watched the sunset, the future seemed bright with possibilities, the challenges ahead not daunting but exciting. Together, they were ready to face whatever came their way, guided by mutual respect and a shared vision for a united future.